July is usually the hottest month for most gardeners around the world, and all we have to do is frequent waterings and occasional weeding and feeding. We also get abundant harvests around this time because that's when most of the plants that we were growing from spring are finally producing a lot of fruit and vegetable for us. So that means that we have a lot of work preserving all of that abundant harvest. And around this time we also get some empty patches in our garden where we could be planting new vegetables and fruit. But since it's the middle of the season, a lot of gardeners think, well, it's too early to plant fall garden, too late to plant summer crops. So they skip this month and don't plant anything. So today I would like to talk to you about what things you can still plant in the month of July and get a great harvest. And this list will include both summer crops and some fall vegetables as well. And number one on our list will be beans. Beans are growing relatively fast. These ones on the picture I planted in May and I am currently harvesting them, and the rest of these beans I planted in June, and right now all of them are blooming, which means pretty soon I will have a harvest. Beans love summer heat and usually they produce within 2 months after planting. So my June planted beans I'll be harvesting in August. But how about September? If I want to have a great harvest in September and October, that means I need to plant some beans today. Especially bush beans. They are so compact, they don't take so much room. You can basically plant them anywhere. They don't even require any support. With pole beans, a little bit harder, you need to provide some form of a trellis, but bush beans are so easy to grow. Next on our list is cucumber. Cucumber also grows super fast. It does require some trellising unless you opt out for patio or balcony type of a cucumber. One of such varieties is called Space Master and it grows really fast, doesn't take much room, and you can stick it anywhere in your garden, even in a container. Keeping cucumbers healthy in the midst of hot summer may be a challenge. That's when succession planting comes to the rescue. Same with zucchini. Zucchini are heavy producers and are kind of prone to different diseases and bugs. That's why I like to have succession of zucchini plants in case something happens to them. Usually around this time I harvest my spring planted carrots. That means it's time to plant fall harvest of carrots. It may be harder to germinate carrots around this time, but so worth the effort. Also beets. Beets is another crop that you can plant in succession from spring to fall, and they tolerate both cold and hot weather, which makes them so easy to grow. Usually they are ready in 50-60 days, but if you plant them in the middle of summer, you should add at least a week or even 2 to the days of maturity, because remember we are after the summer solstice, which means days are shorter now and the crops will have longer time to mature. Now that we've talked about summer crops that can still be planted and universal crops that can grow throughout the growing season like carrots and beets, now let's talk about fall crops. And one of the main categories of fall crops is brassica family. Most brassicas love cold weather, which makes them perfect for not only spring growing but fall garden as well. But they require a long period for maturing, which means we should start them now if we want to have them in our fall garden. So I will be planting my broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi and regular cabbage around this time, and I will be transplanting them into the garden in the end of August. So throughout the fall time they can get to their maturity. So we've talked about regular beans in our summer crops plantings, but there is one type of beans called fava or broad which love cool weather. It's time to plant them now for fall garden, together with some peas. Peas and broad beans, they grow so well in the spring and produce a lot. In the fall garden, the harvest will not be as abundant, but you will still be able to harvest some. Both of them are frost tolerant, which means you can grow them well into late fall. And if you use some sort of a protection like cold frame or row covers, you can even extend your season a little bit more, therefore having bigger harvest. Now would be also a perfect time to start your bok choy or pak choy or any other Asian greens. They are fast growers, which means you can start them even in August, same as radish. I even had success with radish started in September. I still was able to get a nice harvest. Another category that you should be thinking about planting around this time is leafy greens. Things like spinach, lettuce, arugula, and others. Those things we use in salads. They do not like hot summer weather, with exception of a few varieties, but if you start some of them now and then succession sow them well into September, you will have a great supply of salad greens throughout the whole fall season. And because it can still be really hot in a lot of places in September and October, you don't have to sow these salad greens as individual plants. You can do them as baby greens. You can see here me picking some spinach that was well overseeded, but these tiny baby leaves are actually the best tasting. Therefore, I always do this way and harvest them in this stage. I do the same thing with arugula as well. So this was my list of what I'm planting this month. How about you? What are you planting in the month of July in your garden?